Well, for the first time in a long time, Australian investors need to be focusing much more on the Australian economy than what's happening around the globe. In recent days, we've had GDP numbers released for the last quarter, which were a very healthy 3.1%. But most importantly, if you look at the last 3 quarters, because June last year was particularly weak, we have GDP growth running at close to 4%, which is quite extraordinary. The bit that's missing out of that, what's not working, is business is still not investing, and we're not managing to get infrastructure projects up and running in this country. Other than that, the news is all good. The mining sector's delivering a lot of increased volume, so what we've lost in price, we're making up for in quantity. Consumers have got their hands back in their pockets, tourism is travelling well, and generally exports are in good shape. So there's a lot to like out of those numbers. What's holding us back? Well, a couple of things to bear in mind. We've got the upcoming federal election at the beginning of July. Whichever way the election goes, the only thing I hope for is that one party has a decisive win. One of the things that I think has locked business out of investing and hiring more, which is the last piece of the puzzle, has been uncertainty around government, future legislation, and particularly what even the taxation landscape looks like. So for better or for worse, no matter how people vote, if we have a decisive winner, I think that's really important. The other thing to bear in mind is I think business has lost a bit of confidence in itself. We've been through the GFC, corporations have spent a lot of time reducing costs, reducing staffing, getting rid of non-core businesses, returning capital and improving capital management. And having done all of that hard work for so long, really since the GFC, I really do wonder whether business knows how to grow in the old-fashioned way, and that is by looking for signals, finding opportunities to invest, taking on people and investing in whether it's facilities, building, machinery, whatever it happens to be. So if there's one thing that does need a bit of a move along, and unfortunately the structure of our different governments haven't supported it, it's in that space. The last thing I want to mention is just around income levels, because we're now starting to see really good GDP numbers, but everyone's pay packet continues to shrink. And what we're seeing here is the impact of what's referred to as our terms of trade. For 4 or 5 years during the mining boom, without producing a lot more, we had a lot of additional wealth come into this country because the price of commodities in particular went through the roof. Now that those prices have come down, we're growing and producing a lot more, but the country's wealth isn't increasing. And we're probably looking at another 12 to 18 months before incomes begin to grow, then inflation will follow that. So the real barometer for interest rates, which is inflation, really doesn't look to be a problem until the end of 2017 or just beyond.